Greeting everyone. I want to talk today a little bit and explore a little bit of a more real important topic and rapidly growing area in clinical mental health, and that's epigenetics and how the environment, stress, trauma, and healing can literally shape gene expression across the lifespan. Okay, understanding epigenetics helps us bridge biology, environment, culture, trauma, resiliency, and mental health. And it pushes us as clinicians to move away from simplistic ideas like mental illness is all chemical or it's all environmental. Instead, we ask, how do lived experiences write themselves into the biology of the brain and the body? And how can healing, therapy, and community care rewrite those biological messages? Okay. So let's get into it. First, we need to define what is epigenetics. Epigenetics refers to the process by which environment experiences influence the way genes are turned on or off without changing the DNA sequence itself. A good way to think about it is think of your DNA as the keys on a piano. Epigenetics is the pianist, the player. What gets played depends on the pianist's training, stress, environment, and experiences. Three key mechanisms students must remember. Chemical tags that silence or activate genes, right? The DNA. Histone modification, the tightening or loosening of DNA around proteins influencing gene access, and the non-coding RNA, molecules that regulate gene activity. Some of the things that matter clinically is that epigenetic changes are dynamic, reversible, and deeply influenced by experience. This means that therapy, relational safety, community belonging, nutrition, and reduced stress can change biological expression. The brain stress and the epigenetic changes that we go through is one of the things that I want to look at. Now, let's connect epigenetics directly to the brain. One of the biggest systems affected is the HPA axis, the stress response system involving the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and adrenal glands. Chronic stress, sorry about that. Chronic stress, trauma, abandonment, ongoing discrimination, early childhood adversity, all of these can epigenetically alter how the HPA axis function. Key findings is that early trauma can increase the receptors on genes, making the body less able to regulate stress. This can lead to hypervigilancy, emotional reactivity, sleep disruptions, and vulnerability to depression and anxiety. Research has shown that with children exposed to chronic adversities shows increased expression of genes linked to inflammation and decreased expression of genes linked to neural growth. When it comes to clinically, this explains why trauma responses are not just psychological. They are biologically embedded patterns shaped through epigenetic processes. One of the most profound areas of epigenetic research is intergenerational and transgenerational transmission. Can trauma in one generation biologically?
Always nice to see him. It's all good to be with you.
Now, some of the other headlines we're watching.
Can trauma in one generation biologically influence future generations? Evidence across culture says yes. We see this in studies of descendants of Holocaust, indigenous communities impacted by colonization, children of parents exposed to famine, war, or displacement, and people in the African diaspora communities carrying the epigenetic legacy of enslavement, Jim Crow, and structural racism. What is passed down is not the trauma itself, but biological reactions to stress. The altered stress regulation patterns and coping styles that become embedded in family systems and cultural memory. This is very important for counselors working with communities experiencing long histories of oppression. It validates what many already know. Trauma isn't just personal, it's systemic, it's historical, and it can literally write itself into the biology of a people, a community. Now, when it comes to resiliency, healing, and positive epigenetic changes, there's some things that I like, okay? Epigenetic change is not destiny, right? So here are some powerful things that you can do to try to heal the community. Have supportive relationships, have emotionally safe environments, meditation and mindfulness, community belonging, consistent therapy, exercise, help restoring a cultural identity, spiritual practices, okay? And my favorite is African-centered healing traditions, like Sankofa healing circles. Therapy literally changes the brain. This is the neuroplasticity. But epigenetics goes a level deeper. Therapy changes the expression of genes that shape the functions of the brain. This reinforces why clinicians must integrate holistic, culturally responsive, and relationally attuned approaches. Healing is not abstract, it's biological. So there are several clinical implications here to remember that trauma is a lot deeper than we realize. So that's a brief talk on epigenetics, and I will be talking to you soon.